yes. Now, these houses, yeah, they seem to be somewhat important. Yeah. A little different than a home, though, isn't it? When I had told you, right, that it violated my right to due process to issue court orders where you just said I was crazy, yeah, it does violate my right. Now, there is a need for you to recognize that having my sons in the wrong grades for 3 years, yes, you might not like me. You might be prejudiced against me. In fact, you might hate my guts. But that doesn't give you the right to abuse children. Now, you have had a difficult time seeing beyond your actual anger. Now, I'm not motioning a court that didn't make sure that in the consensual sex, marriage, and conception of my 5 sons, that they would make sure that I got actual notice of court hearings. Now, uh, is there some reason why the court won't remove their court orders? Um, my grandmother, Clara Holes, lived in Auburn, Washington for most of her life after she married my grandfather, Edward. Yes. And they might have had somewhat of a tumultuous relationship, but the truth of the matter is they had a child, Paul Douglas Budnick. Yes. And I'm sure that they both loved him. Now, for all the goods and the bads, right. Paul Douglas Budnick conceived a child in a consensual sexual relationship at 16 years old. Oh, I was going to be an abortion. Pooch. Now, back in 1969, there was some big disagreement about my mother being pregnant. And quite possibly, Charles Condit and Eunice Condit had a talk about it, and they might have thought that abortion was a good time at that time because of her being a teenager. But as I remember the story, my teenage father approached my grandfather that I happen to love a lot. Yes. And he said, no, we're not going to do that. We're not going to have an abortion. Now, even at 17, he could be one of these individuals that was, well, persistent, yes, in his beliefs. We're not going to have an abortion. We're not going to do it. I might be only 17, yes. We're going to get married as, well, probably she conceived in junior and senior high and she got her GED. Yes. And we're going to drop out of school in 1970 and I'm going to father this little baby. And we're going to get married. Now, a lot of people have this difficult time of, we made the decision to have sex. In that decision, we conceived a child. Yes. And because of the conception, yeah, we're going to get married. And we're just going to raise it. And if we find out 10 years later that the marriage didn't work out, and I'm sure Sandy Taylor would say, well, he was a womanizer, a drug user, yes, and an alcoholic, yes, probably abusive. The truth of the matter is they both agreed to get married at 17 years old, and that was when I was born. I was going to be an abortion. Not because my grandparents didn't love me, because both of them did. If any person had a grandparent, right, Eunice Condit or Charles Condit, they both loved me. After I was born, they had a complete change of heart about this idea of the abortion. But before that, yes, I was going to be an abortion. But my father disagreed with the parents of Sandy Taylor when she was 16 years old. Yeah. I was born in July. Yes. If you go back 9 months, shall we look at a calendar? Yes. It's the seventh month. Her birthday's in January. Pooh, pooh, pooh. She was 16 when she conceived. 16. Her parents had an obligation to consider what was best for what they thought their daughter should be doing. And obviously, I wasn't there during the discussions of Paul Douglas Budnick and Chuck Condit. Yes, but I'm absolutely sure that after I was born, they were happy that I was. Oh, I was going to be an abortion because of a teenage pregnancy of a woman that got pregnant when she was a junior in high school. Yes, that got her GED because they dropped out of school. Now, it has always been my belief, yes, that the easy decisions are easier to make than the hard decisions. If I had daughters, I would tell them to go to the store and buy their own condoms. Pooch. I don't want to have any child that has to make the difficult decision of abortion. And as a father, I'm not going to be the one to tell you what to do. But I will tell you that if you don't want to consensually conceive a child, you better make absolutely sure that you don't consensually conceive any children. Now, a lot of people, a lot of parents actually, they play this game that I don't know what you're doing because you're a teenage individual. But considering I was conceived at 16, going back 9 months, mother's birthday was in January, father's birthday was in January. Yes, yes, yes. My mother was actually 10 days older than my father. Poop. Well, July 13th, yes. And then that would be December. Ooh. And then that would be November. Oh, I was conceived in November of 1969.